Hey, there we are.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Live from the Owl's Nest. I'm Jamie.
I'm Alicia.
Together we're RoyalWise, computer software training and support, specializing in QuickBooks Online, Microsoft Office, and
all things Apple.
There we go. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Pretty exciting times. Is it January still?
It's still January.
I feel like we're in
It's
February.
already January and it's still January.
Welcome to 2023. I think it's going to go by fast and go by slow, all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started with, again, we're end of year. Of course, in the accounting world, end of year, beginning of year is always a big thing. So let's hear a little bit about what you've been working on.
So this is the time of year when all the bookkeepers and accountants get very, very busy, and all the business owners go, "Oh my God, I have a lot of work to do." And so, this is the time when we all get a little overworked. And I wish the IRS would actually separate out the business time period and the personal time period and let us do this throughout the year instead of having 3 million people all needing the bookkeeping all at the same time. It would be nice, wouldn't it? So the biggest thing right now for January is that it's 1099 season, and it's been a hot topic on all of the boards, and pretty much all of my clients are 1099 issues. So what do I mean when I say 1099? I'm talking about every time a business hires another business to do some work for them. If they are a sole proprietor or an LLC filing as a sole proprietor, the IRS has decided that the business owners are the people who have to police this and make sure that everybody is on the up and up. And what I want to do is at least reassure you that really the bottom line is that the IRS just wants to look at the income that the business reported and the number of 1099s that were filed for that business and make sure that the company claimed more revenue than the 1099s. If they didn't, it would mean they're kind of underreporting and working under the table. So that's kind of the bottom line. But how do you know who gets a 1099? Now, I don't want to start spouting about it now. I've got some reels and shorts you can go watch. And I did a class last week on QuickBooks Online's 1099 wizard and how you can actually determine which of your vendors need a 1099 and what's the best way of filing them. And hint, it's not inside QBO. So that course, we'll put the link in our chat. But if you're looking at one of the streams that doesn't have the chat, you can also go take a look at learn.royalwise.com or royalwise.com and go click on the calendar and look for our 1099s class. And I go for a whole hour talking about exactly who needs a 1099, how to file them, and all of that good stuff.
And here's a little tip. If you go to the calendar, even if the class was last week or 2 weeks ago, you can still go and enroll in it and get the on-demand video for that class. So even though she did the 1099 class last week, right?
Yeah, it was last week.
Right. If you go to the calendar, just go enroll in it, even though it was last week, and it'll still work and you'll still get all that great content.
And as an added bonus, when I re-record it next year with all of the new compliance facts, you'll get those updated videos just by paying for it right now.
Oh, compliance. Oh, man, my financial advisor clients hate that word.
Everybody hates that
Very
word.
Good. Hey, I want to have another episode of something we did last time on the Owl's Nest, and that is the QB Connect post briefing that swag works. I'm wearing my Alicia shirt today.
Hey, Allison Ball.
Allison Ball, thank you so much for the swag. They're not sponsoring. I'm just kind of giving them some free shout outs. So we love Alicia and we love everybody out there. So there is that. Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
All righty. So Apple snuck in some announcements this week. They didn't have an event like they normally would. And they just did an announcement video kind of announcing everything and some press releases. And
get ready for the alphabet soup. Here it comes.
Honestly, it was weird because it dribbled out. There was like about a day and a half where like new things would pop up. And we're like, oh, there's something else new. Oh, wow. If you go to apple.com, you can watch the video, see all the things. But here's my little recap. First off, the Mac Mini, which is your desktop Apple that doesn't come with any sort of computer. Monitor or keyboard or mouse. You got to buy all that stuff yourself. But the Mac Mini is now going to have the M2 Apple Silicon chip, which is the newest Apple Silicon. Also, they announced the M2 Pro chip and the M2 Max chip, which are kind of high-end, more graphic stuff, higher end graphic processors. And so the Mac Mini will also come with a M2 Pro chip. This basically is going to, what I've heard, is kind of replace the 27-inch iMac. They're not going to make a 27-inch iMac ever again. The 24-inch iMac is the thing for iMacs now. And if you want a bigger screen, get an overpowered, overprocessed Mac Mini and put a big monitor on it, and you basically got the same thing. So that's kind of what's going on with the Mac Mini, and that was their lead. That was what they were super excited about. But the M2 Pro chip, the M2 Max chip are also coming to the 14 and the 16-inch MacBook Pros. And so if you have a 14-inch or 16-inch MacBook Pro, or if you want one, not if you already have one, you can now get these higher-end graphic processing chips. And the video shows all sorts of wild things of like graphic designers and people doing 3D rendering and video game developers. These computers, in my opinion, really are not geared toward your average consumer, right? They're way overpowered for just, hey, I'm at home doing emails and surfing the web and stuff like that. It's really for people either generating 3D renders, doing video editing,
content creators,
high-end graphic design,
animation.
Yeah, things like that. They're really kind of gearing it toward more like business level creators of the Pixar groups and things like that.
Yeah, that's the way that I think about it. Is this is them revving the line for everybody who's making all the movies that we're going to go watch. And since everything is all CG, this is the line of computers that's designed for producing that kind of content.
Yeah. And so one of the things I'm just going to say right now is with all of the options, we now have the old Intel chips, the M1 chips, the M1 Pro chips, the M2, the M2 Pro, the M2 Max.
A, B, C, O, M, 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 M.
If anybody watching this is trying to figure out what is the right machine for you, that's where I come in. Feel free to reach out, go to royalwise.com or contact us however you need to. And I'm happy to give everybody like a little half an hour shop around where we look at the machine you're on and look at the machines available. But a lot of these machines are more than what most people need for their usage. And so we'd have a little talk about how do you use your machine and which machine is going to be the one to replace it with. The perfect machine for you, as we say.
Yeah, because you don't want to overbuy, but then you don't want to minimize what you need. And then all of a sudden you're stuck with like having to manage all of your content because you ran out of space on your computer.
Well, I'll say this, the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 chip, which is what I have and have had for a while now, and I absolutely love it, starts at about $1,500. The 14-inch M2 Pro starts at $2,500. Starts at $2,500. And if you want to upgrade the hardware, if you want a bigger hard drive, you want more memory, it goes up from there. So we're talking about $2,500 to $5,000 for the 14-inch, and the 16-inch starts $500 more. So $3,000 to start if you want a 16-inch. So the price matters. The really announcement that I'm stoked about, I really want to bring up, is the new HomePod. HomePod Generation 2 is out, and this is not the HomePod Minis that came out last year. This is a full-size HomePod. Some mixed reviews that it's not all that redesigned. It's not all that different. Even there's like less things in it, like the Wi-Fi is not as strong as the HomePod Generation 1. Some very strange reports coming out.
I don't usually hear about them going backwards like that.
Yeah, and even the people reporting are like, we're not sure what's going on, but this is the deal of what they put out. Now, maybe they get better sound with less speakers now. Maybe the speakers are better.
I bet they had an overstock on components, but not enough of the good ones to improve it. So they're just like cycling through there.
Don't even give me the planned obsolescence stuff. Anyway, there's one thing that is super cool about the new HomePod Gen 2, which is a humidity and temperature sensor built into it. So you can actually get ambient
moisture.
You can actually get ambient humidity and temperature readings from your HomePod Generation 2. And here's the big surprise.
I'm still stuck on that one.
That's okay. The HomePod Mini, they put this sensor into every HomePod Mini they put out. They didn't activate it yet. And so this new feature coming in with the HomePod Gen 2 is available on all the HomePod Minis. And in a software update coming soon, they're going to update the software and the firmware and activate that sensor that's been laying dormant inside the HomePod Minis.
I'm completely fascinated by this. So, like,
isn't that great?
Does that mean that it'll, like, if it's starting to rain, my HomePod will tell me, or if my hands are achy, it'll tell me that it's really high humidity?
I'm not really sure because I think it's ambient and in the room. Like, what's the temperature in the room? I don't think it's going to be raining in your house. I don't know. I don't know. They just
I don't
announced
know.
it, and we haven't seen it in practice. But some interesting stuff and some stuff to keep an eye on.
Oh, but if I'm feeling really hot, I can find out if the thermostat is on or if I'm having a hot flash.
That's yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
There we go.
Use case. Right
Yeah, I
there.
use my Nest for that. But yeah, absolutely. And as she said earlier, things are getting real around here. We're starting to do some Facebook Reels and some YouTube Shorts, and so you're going to see some more like 1-minute content coming out of us. And again, this report I just gave you, I put a couple of Reels out about these updates. She's put some Reels and Shorts out about the 1099 stuff. But go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Go to our Facebook page and subscribe and follow, and you will see some great little tips and tricks coming out in 60-second formats. And
Yeah,
so,
we're really excited about it because we have so many just like the nuggets, just focusing on this, on the pertinent information and the best jokes that we tell and having them out there. I'm looking forward to it.
You're so hopeful.
I always.
What's
always.
next on the list? Are we going back to year-end stuff?
Okay, so heading back into the accounting world, this is also the time when all the business owners are looking at their books going, I didn't make that much money. Why does it say I made that much money? Or, they look at their expenses and they realize that they completely forgot about their Venmo for the whole year. And so for all of you bookkeepers out there, I am having a class on February 1st where I'm going to go through all the things that I do to wrap up the year, that when a client comes to me and they know that their books are wrong, or they just want to get ready for taxes and we want to make sure it's accurate, I'm going to go through where I look in all the nooks and crannies and all the holes that help me identify where something was done incorrectly. And so it's kind of like a cleanup class. It's kind of like a troubleshooting class. But even for business owners, it's like, where do you go and look to find out where you might have done something wrong, and how do you tell, and how do you fix it? So that class is my year-end cleanup for taxes class on February 1st.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to kind of follow up just a little bit more, talking about the shorts and the reels and our YouTube and our Facebook and all that kind of stuff. I've got my pilot episode out of my new webcast/podcast called JMac Fixes Everything. You can find us at askjmac.com or jmacfixeseverything.com. Either domain will take you where you can watch the pilot or listen to the pilot. It's in all the podcast, anywhere you can get a podcast, you can now listen to it as a podcast, or go to YouTube and watch it as a webcast. Episode 2 is coming out probably early next week, and then we're going to start pumping them out once a week to once every other week. But we've got a nice dozen in the bag, and we're ready to start publishing them so we can share more great. And the series is called The Switcher, Making the Switch from Apple to Android, from Android to Apple. I say that backwards all the time.
Yeah,
from
it's kind of important.
Android to Apple. So it's going to be great for beginning Apple users, people that are on Android and switching to Apple. But honestly, I'll tell you, there's tidbits for everybody in there. There's little tips and tricks and things like, well, how does that work? And what does that term mean? And all that kind of stuff. But it's conversational. Me and my co-host, Audrey Isabel, have a really good time laughing and nerding out and learning all about Apple stuff. So come and join us there for JMac Fixes Everything. All right.
Awesome. Yeah. And then going back again to the big accounting phenomenon right now, where all the business owners are like, hey, my New Year's resolution is to get my books in order and to make my company legitimate. And you know that you need to use QuickBooks and you don't even know where to begin. I am starting a 5-week series that's a combination of live class and video. It's what we call a blended course called the QBO Book Club. And in the book club, I actually, let me grab my book. You will get a physical copy of the book or a PDF of the book or both. And what we'll do in this class is we'll meet for 5 weeks, and I'll say, okay, I want you this week to read chapters 1 and 2 and watch the videos about setting up your QuickBooks. And then you'll do that through the week, and you'll come back and you'll pepper me with all the questions that you have, and I'll answer all the questions, and I'll also highlight things that I want to make sure that people get right. And then I'll give you the homework for week 2, and then you'll read chapters 3 and 4 and watch the videos on taking money from your customers, and then we'll meet again. So it's a 5-week process. It's what I call the QBO Book Club, and it's on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock Pacific time for 5 weeks from February 1st through March 1st. And again, we'll either have the link in your comments, or if you don't see it in the comments where we are streaming, head over to royalwise.com and click on the calendar, look for February 1st, and you can enroll for the class. Now, whenever you enroll for our classes, you get lifetime access to the content. You also get a discussions forum. So it's not just a one-time event. It's really a resource for you.
Yay. And then my classes are coming up. Again, I'm still kind of working through some new curriculum I want to do, but look for me on Fridays, every Friday at 1 o'clock, starting the first Friday in February. February is going to be my Mac operating system series, where 4 weeks of talking about the Mac OS. And the basics and the more advanced stuff, file management. And we're going to do the podcast class, how to use the podcast app, and the Apple TV class, the TV app class. So we're going to be talking some multimedia. And then March is going to be our iPhone iPad series. And so we're going to go all over 4 weeks of iPhone iPad stuff. What?
You've got an ulterior motive.
What ulterior motive?
If you want people to watch your podcast, they have to be able to find it.
You think I'm going to do a podcast app class just because I'm launching my new
Well, not just because.
Obviously, I'm going to do a podcast class because I want people to see my podcast or hear my podcast. So yeah, if you want to know what is a podcast or how to get to a podcast on an Apple device, I'm going to make sure that you know how to do that.
Yeah. And he will fix it so that you can.
Pretty obvious.
Because he fixes everything.
That's what I hear. Is they claim that I have some troubleshooting skills. Okay.
You
Anything else?
Some mad
skills.
Some bad troubleshooting skills.
Okay.
I got one more. It's actually a kind of big announcement, is that I just renovated my QuickBooks site membership for our Royal Wise OWLS, our on-demand web-based learning solution. And we completely revamped the bronze level, which was our entry level. And we simplified it so that as a bronze member, you get the exact classes that you need to get up and running with QuickBooks without getting distracted by all of the other possible things that you might need. It's just the set of classes that you gotta have in order to run QuickBooks for your business. So we talk about the beginner's guide and the intro to bookkeeping and accounting, but then we get into the QuickBooks Online Bootcamp, which is how to process your income from your customers and your expenses from your vendors, and how to use the banking feed. Then you get a 2-hour class just on the banking feed so that you use it right, because it's either going to be your best friend and save you hours of time, or it's going to be your worst nightmare and you're going to screw up your books, and then you're going to have to pay me or somebody else in order to clean them up and get you set right. So I want to be proactive. I want you to do it right from the beginning. So you spend 2 hours watching the bank feeds class and you're golden. Then it includes a class on reconciling your bank accounts to make sure that your QuickBooks matches your bank statements, and then a class on reporting so you can learn how to run your reports and analyze your business so that you can really understand what's happening, where your money is going, and position yourself for growth. So it's just core classes without all the distraction. And so it's our bronze membership. So head over to royalwise.com and look for it.
And check it out. We're always about foundational learning. We want you to build a good, solid foundation, understand how things work from that base level before you're trying to go more advanced, get into deeper topics. Of course, we do advanced topics. We get expert level if you want us to, but we realize that can really overwhelm beginners. And so this really is a great opportunity. If you really want to just hone in on what do I need to know to get my business going, the bronze membership's perfect for you and your business.
Yeah.
With that, we've done it again. We've achieved the pinnacle of information distribution.
We didn't use too many acronyms this time.
Wait, you're ABCing me a few minutes ago.
Yeah, but you did a good job. It's just MMA,
M1, M2. Okay. With that, I'm Jamie.
I'm Alicia.
And we're Royal Wise, and we will
see you in class.
See you in class next time, everybody.